Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Russell and I will be presenting the play Fences by August Wilson. Fences was written by August Wilson as a part of the Pittsburgh Cycle, which is a collection of 10 dramas. These plays explore the different decades throughout the 20th century. Their primary focus was to shed light on the reality of a life as an African American during those times. Many African Americans were struggling to find their place in this unjust world after their freedom from slavery. This was toward the end of the Jim Crow era. While the Jim Crow era ended in 1965, this play is set in 1957. The story is about a man in his late 50s, Troy, who constantly is talking about his struggles as a black man and how everything in his life he has had to work hard for. Troy is a hard worker, but he doesn't always follow through. The set provides some insight to Troy's heart and his character. This play takes place in the front yard of Troy's ancient two-story home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not only does the house give Troy a sense of pride, but it also brings some shame. As a black man, he is proud to be able to provide a home for his family, but he is also ashamed because he knows that the only reason that he has that house is due to his brother's disability from being in the war. One of Troy's biggest faults is that he refuses to acknowledge that the life that he had as a young black male is different from that of his son and what they will experience. He was a great baseball player, according to his longtime friend Bono. Even though he was a brilliant player for the Negro Leagues, he wasn't always allowed to play for the white teams, unlike Jackie Robinson. Robinson and the other African American athletes that became famous was a bit of a sore subject for Troy because he was born at the wrong time and that he didn't get the recognition and wealth that he deserved. Baseball terminology is one of the ways that Troy tries to explain his actions. We see this when his son becomes confrontational about his ideas of playing football. Troy responds by giving him a metaphor. When his son begins to be recruited by college coaches for football, Troy quickly reminds him that he, as a black man, will never play while there is a white boy sitting on the bench. Throughout the entire play, the mood seems to remain constant. We're almost there. The playwright describes the porch as a wooden porch that is badly in need of paint. This leads to the question, why is it in need of paint? Is it old and worn out? Well, the reality is that the porch is new, but had yet to be finished. However, the porch isn't the only thing that needs some attention. Troy's wife of 18 years, Rose, shows signs of neglect. While Troy's time reflects that he has dedicated to his wife and his porch, his efforts tell otherwise. Troy doesn't commit to his porch, and he doesn't commit to his marriage. His lack of commitment is also seen when he confesses to Rose about his infidelity. The porch and marriage are symbolic with Rose and their marriage. Let's talk about our main man, Troy Maxson. The main character of the film and play is Troy Maxson. He's a protagonist. Troy is a hardworking man who works as a trash collector despite his abilities as a young adult to be a baseball player professionally. Despite his obvious flaws, he is written as a representation of the struggles that come from the injustices and unfair treatment during the 1950s. Troy also represents human nature to be reluctant to accepting and recognizing social changes. Troy's a bit of a thwarted dreamer that makes him prone to having his own illusions. We see this in the opening scene when he is telling Bono and Rose an epic story where he is battling with the personified death or devil. He is grappling with death. He instigates conflict when the views of others don't align with his views. Another duality is Troy's hypocrisy. Troy is constantly demanding that his loved ones live practically, and abiding by their responsibilities, which he is allowed to live as he wishes and have an affair. Rebel against racist practices of his employers by protesting the limitations of black workers as lifters, not drivers, on the trash trucks. Troy refuses to see his life in any other way than the way he perceives these events in his own head. Overall, Troy Maxson is a classically written tragic hero. In the beginning of the play, he is loved, admired, and has his secret hidden affair from his wife. But eventually, Troy's death leaves a negative taste in the mouth of his loved ones and leaves behind many negative attributes for his family to sort out and accept. His daughter from his affair. It's ironic that Troy was such a hardworking man and did the things that he was supposed to do for his family unselfishly, yet he didn't put the wants and needs of his family before his own. This is a part of his distorted views of being right and everyone else being wrong. What's behind the man? What are the objectives to his character, his tactics, his beat change, things like that? His objectives: work, pay bills, and take care of his family. His super objectives, what he really is trying to get out there, is to remind everyone of the injustice against him. He's constantly reminding us about his injustices. Tactic: Troy doesn't hesitate when it comes to reminding people of the struggles in his life. He is very vocal. Beat change: Troy kind of changes his tone in the moment his mistress dies and Rose has to take care of the baby. He doesn't give much, but he seems to have a small recognition of his actions. Let's talk about the set. The mansion at Woodward Park is a perfect place for this set because we can control it with a thrust stage. We can set the stage with a backdrop of the house and the porch in front. The characters, the two main characters when we would dress up would be Rose and Troy. Our characters are blue-collar workers who spend every week working for change. Majority of their wardrobes will reflect their daily lives at home and casual friends. So let's focus on Rose and Troy. Rose Maxson. The only thing that I noticed about Rose is she never wore pants. She is always wearing a dress with an apron covering it. Another key article was her hair wrap. During these decades, women were more often than not stay-at-home wives who cooked, cleaned, and took care of their families. In these pictures, you see Viola Davis, who played Rose in the film Fences by Denzel Washington. Troy Maxson. A lot of the times we see Troy in his garbage uniform, or we see him with Bono on his front porch. One thing that we notice in the scenes often is he is constantly has alcohol in his pictures. There aren't very many things that need to be done for the set other than the obvious backdrop for the house, a porch for the cast to sit around during the scenes. There are very few props that we need, like the baseball hanging from the string and the bat. The only other sounds and props that we would need would be his brother's trumpet and the sound of a bat as they hit the ball in the yard. This play is important because it demonstrates the changes that need to be in place and continue to stay in place for our future. It talks about the racial injustices that from our past and how those people struggled and needed a better start in their lives. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you.